Hello everyone, Rabbi Abe here. Welcome to the video. I have something crazy to share with you this week that relates to taking control. I don't want to freak you out. It says taking control of the world, but we're going to use this to take control of our life. I'm going to read to you directly from the words of the Kabbalists in the Zohar itself, which talks about this idea of control. Before we get into it, I just want to mention April 7th, we have a workshop. It's Take Control Over Our Emotions. If you have anger or jealousy or any type of negative emotion which is holding you back, then take this workshop. It's a 90-minute workshop and it's on a Sunday morning. And I will show you how to uproot from the seed level any negative emotion so that it should not block you anymore. Okay? So you go to rabbieabe.com and you can find out more information about that. Now, this week and this energy, and it's not just this week, it's this time period because, Pisces also comes with a lot of other fringe benefits, shall we say. While the month of Pisces itself is not necessarily an easy month, especially if you are Pisces, but it doesn't matter whether you are or you aren't, the breakthroughs of this month come in the form of control, no less, of destiny. And we see that from the event which occurs. In fact, it's, always within the month of Pisces is the holiday, which is called Purim. In the scroll of Esther, which we read in Purim, it says that this evil, the evil one in the story called Haman or Haman, decided he was going to annihilate all the Israelites at that time in Persia 25 centuries ago. And he decided on the day to do it, when it was going to be done, by a lottery. And it says Pur hu hagoral. Pur, which means this lottery, or it's like throwing the dice, okay? And Haman was a master of astrology, okay? It says that in the writings of Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Ari, that he was a total master in the black arts, dark arts, astrology as well. And he knew the right moment when to strike, that he should be successful. All right. When it says Pur hu hagoral, this lot or lottery of sorts, in the way that he chose the date, is destiny. It is destiny. That's what it says. It is destiny. What did the Kabbalists explain over here? This event, which takes place in the month of Pisces, we can affect our destiny. We can change our destiny if we know how. We're going to go to the Zohar, and we start now this week the book of Leviticus, which is a corruption because it has nothing to do with the name has nothing to do with Leviticus. Vayikra in Hebrew simply means he called out, meaning God calling to Moses, probably because that's who God is always calling to, is Moses in the Bible story. And so this book is literally called He Called. He Called. That's the name of the book. But that doesn't make a very good name. He Called. So in the beginning, or Genesis, names, Exodus. We know it's not Exodus, it's the book of names. And He Called, also known as Leviticus. So probably they named it Leviticus because it has something to do with the Levites performing the temple service and sacrifices. So sacrifices, and this book, the third book of the Bible of the 5 books, are all about sacrifice. Very misunderstood. Of course, the animal lovers, of which I am one, would say, how could God require sacrifices? Well, God doesn't require sacrifices, but some sort of sacrifice, whatever that means, we need it in order to create a correction or cleanse, which is a whole other conversation. Unfortunately, I can't go into it right now. It would take us off topic. But sacrifice is necessary, okay? And we're not discussing animals over here. But in the time of the tabernacle and in the time of the temple in Jerusalem, sacrifices were brought, different types of animals. Now, I would be hard-pressed to convince you of this, but the animals themselves wanted this. In fact, one of the miracles in the time of the temple is that the animals themselves came voluntarily in order to be sacrificed. They knew, and it's written in the books, that this was the way. Had they been incarnated, a human soul incarnated in an animal, this was the only way they could karmically restore themselves and come back for another opportunity in a human incarnation. I understand that this is a stretch for some of you, and it's not an excuse used by Jews in order to eat meat. No, it is a real thing. It's in all the books that the souls of animals were given to souls of human beings, rather, were incarnated in animals for different levels of negativity. This is not a blessing. It's certainly not a blessing to be incarnated into a cow, a goat, a sheep, because if you can imagine a human consciousness together with the animal without free will, it's almost like being in prison. It's not a blessing exactly. Anyway, again, I don't want to go into it here. Nevertheless, we don't do sacrifices anymore. No temple, no tabernacle, and we are forbidden from doing these types of animal sacrifices. So what is in place of these sacrifices? Prayer. Prayer is the switch, or the, I don't want to say substitute. In a way, yes, the substitute for the sacrifices is prayer. Prayer is very misunderstood because, again, and this is what separates religion from spirituality, the notion of prayer, which I mentioned in the video that I did not that long ago, that God doesn't want our prayers, because for many people, prayer is a way to change God's mind. In other words, God, I misbehaved. I'm really sorry. I'm going to pray to you because I lack sustenance, or I lack this, or I lack that. And if I pray really hard, I believe you're the source of that, and you can change it. So you're not giving me sustenance right now because I'm broke. So please change your mind about me. I'll be good. Give me sustenance. And what the Kabbalist would say to that, the true Kabbalist would say to that, is absolute nonsense. Unequivocally nonsense. Why? Because the force of Creator is giving all the sustenance in the world, all the health, all the blessing, all the relationship, everything that we can ever imagine is being given constantly. That light is available 24/7, 365, never sleeps. Endless giving. That's the Kabbalistic understanding of the creative force. Even bad people, even negative people are still getting energy. The Creator is not judging. You I like, you I don't like, you've been good, you are, a criminal, and I won't give you. No, criminals get energy too. They get pleasure. They get, criminals get satisfaction. Where does that come from? A different place? There's only one source of pleasure, good, beneficence, and that's the Creator. So you might say, well, then how is it that, again, in our mind, we don't like maybe bad people if we don't. So how could the Creator reward bad people? Well, that's where we're wrong, because there's no such thing as reward or punishment any more than the electricity punishes us if we put our finger in the socket. It doesn't. We just don't know how to use electricity. The Creator is absolutely non-judgmental in the sense of not measuring people in the sense of you're good or bad. That's not the Creator's job. You would be very surprised to understand, and if you were in my Destiny class, which is available still on RabbiAbe.com, you would be very surprised to understand how does that process work. Heaven, hell, reward, punishment. But that has nothing to do directly with the Creator. But I'll give you a hint. We have a hand in it. All right. So the Creator is endlessly giving, even in the ways we might think it shouldn't be, but it is. That's not the problem. The problem is always about, is it real receiving reward to a negative person? But we're also negative sometimes. Maybe we're not a criminal, but we certainly transgress. Maybe we also shouldn't be given reward or light or, sustenance. Is that the way it really works? Well, it doesn't seem to be, because bad people seem to get rewarded. Good people sometimes suffer. Where's the rhyme or reason? Well, you have to understand the destiny. But it's all about what you truly receive. What do you get to keep? What grows, expands for us in terms of blessing? Because instant gratification is a form of pleasure. Doesn't last, though. That's the problem. We don't get to keep it long term. And life without blessing, which means the fulfillment that we receive in life, is expansive and leads to more good. That comes only from the light, in the way of light. And that's the way I'll say it. But, all right, how do we control? How do we take control? The Zohar says we can control the world. Let me read to you directly from the text. In the Zohar, of the portion of He Called, or Leviticus, if you will. Sha'alecha ot mi'im Hashem Elokecha ha'omek she'ola o ha'gavoa lemala. Ask from the Lord your God a sign. It says ask for a sign. Don't we ask for signs? Oh, give me a sign. Is this what I should do? I shouldn't do this. Give me a sign, God. In Hebrew, the word ot can mean a sign, but it doesn't really mean a sign over here. Ot in Hebrew means a letter. But that doesn't make any sense. Ask for a letter from the depths to the heights above. What does it mean? Listen carefully. And this is the son of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar. He says, Histakalti bidorot harishonim v'adorot ha'achronim. I have looked into the prior generations and into the future generations, the final generation. Well, we're not even going to get into. How did he do that? I mean, there were no history books maybe in that time, or perhaps there were. This is 2,000 years ago. How did he look into the prior generations? And certainly, how did he look into the future generations? That's a question. Obviously wasn't a problem for him. Ma ben dorot harishonim ledorot ha'achronim. And what's the difference between the prior generations and the latter generations? Dorot harishonim hayu yodeim umistaklim bechokma alyona. The prior generations knew how to look into supernal wisdom, the Kabbalah, secrets of the universe. They understood these things. ויודעים לצרף האותיות שהתנתנו למשה בסיני. And they knew the secret of how to combine the letters that Moses was given at Sinai. What? What was Moses given at Sinai? Letters. Oh, but I thought he was given the Torah, the Old Testament, Scripture. Isn't that true? Yes. And what is this Torah, according to the Kabbalists? Yes, while it tells a lot of stories and holds within it many secrets, of course, and many things, so many levels, but in essence, it's a name. It's all names. The entire text of the Bible in the Hebrew, in the original text of the Hebrew, it's holy names. That's what they say. Holy names. And apparently, according to Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon, the author of the Zohar, the difference between the prior generations and the latter generations knew how to combine the letters that Moses was given. Letters are the Hebrew letters. Every language has energy. Hebrew is called the holy language, which means these letters hold circuitry. They are the strongest vehicle from all the other vehicles. Strongest vehicle, and they are not uniquely a Jewish thing. They belong to humanity, potentially, once we know how to use them. They knew how to combine the letters that Moses was given at Sinai. Va'afilu harishayim sheb'Yisrael, even the evil ones who were in Israel also knew the secrets of how to combine the letters, which is one of the reasons that Kabbalah was not taught to everybody until approximately 450 years ago or so. This decree was lifted, and Kabbalah could be taught to the masses, even brought into the marketplace, according to Rabbi Avraham Azulai. Kegon Achaz, and he gives an example of an evil king who was named Achaz, who knew how to look into the letters and see the upper wisdom. Sha'arei Amah Hanavi Sha'alecha Ot. And this is what the prophet meant when he says, ask for a letter, not a sign, ask a letter from the heights or to below. Why? Because there are two levels of letters, he says. There are two levels of letters. V'yodim ba'otiyot elyona, and people knew upper letters. And what are upper letters? Hanimshachot mibina. There are upper letters, which means the metaphysical aspect of the letters, which come from the place called Bina, which is one of the 10 emanations, the Sephirot, the energy force, or the source that feeds this world. And this is the source, spiritual world. So the spiritual force of letters comes from there. V'otiyot tachtonot, and lower, the lower level of letters, which are the actual letters themselves. Hanimshachot mimalchut, they come from the place which is called Malchut, kingdom. Chochma la'anhig pe'ulot ba'olam hazeh. This is crazy what he says. And with this wisdom, with the wisdom of understanding of how to combine the letters, they were able to control the actions of this world. That's what the Zohar says. Control the actions of this world. That's pretty strong. Yes, I agree. It is pretty strong. Well, perhaps that's a stretch for us. We're not in that level to be able to do that, which is why Kabbalah can be taught to the masses, because it must also match your spiritual level. To the degree that you're able to use its power is to the degree of your spiritual level where you are at spiritually. And so, a negative person can really not misuse this because their spiritual level truly may not be all that high. They may be aware of spiritual things, but awareness of spiritual things, even using spiritual tools, does not make one spiritual. Remember this, please. So even you're talking to angels, and you can be using holy names, if you're not truly spiritual, which means you're outside of yourself, you're into sharing, you're into helping other people, not hurting other people. Today, that's what makes one spiritual. And the benefit of spiritual tools for that person certainly adds on to that. So he says, armed with this wisdom, we can control things. What about our life? What about destiny? What about all the other things we would like to influence? What about other people? What about healing? What about relationships? What about bringing more positivity, light into situations in life, whether it's ourselves individually or the world at large? What about that? Yes, all of that. Now, what they tell us and what the Zohar is telling us is, well, we don't have these sacrifices, and what do we use instead? Letters. We use the power of letters. So whether it's prayers, the purpose of letters is not asking for things. The purpose of letters is to create combinations of energy, to create energy. It's like a recipe. You go to the kitchen, you put this flour, eggs, and whatever, you get a certain kind of whatever cake product. Every letter has a certain quality, and perhaps we need to speak about the different letters and what's the quality of each letter. There are secrets of each letter. Every letter is used. There are letters that are responsible for constellations, for the months, for attributes, for body parts. Every letter has within it a vibration, a force, and a source that it is responsible over. And by utilizing this letter, we can create an influence. By combining the letters, and this is the reason, by combining the letters, we can, utilize them for power. There are names, but we have to have an appreciation for these names. You see, we can't just, think they're just, well, it's a name, and appreciation is the thing that will enable it to work. How awe-inspired we feel when we use it. It's for this reason that I put all of these things on RabbiAbe.com in the download section. If you do not have them yet, 72 names, the 42-letter name of the Ana B'Koach, and so on. Other things that I put, and will be putting more and more different opportunities that we can use, names of certain angels which are available to us to use for our benefit and for the benefit of the planet. We must use these things, again, not for ourselves alone, but to help and share with others. The more we think to share, the more we receive ourselves. That's the rule. When it's only for ourselves, it doesn't necessarily work as well. when our true intention is to bring this light to other people, to help other people in need, then we are, in fact, the first one to receive. And that's what it says. The one who prays for the poor is answered first, okay, for his friend. The one who prays for his friend, he is answered first. So, all of these things are posted on RabbiAbe.com. Go to the download section. It is so important and so important for us to know and understand. We are not here to ask God for things. That's not the purpose of prayer. It's not the purpose of using these names. No. We are connecting to different aspects of the creative force, yes, but it is to create within ourselves the vessel, the place where that particular kind of light can be, because that light is always available. What's not available? Well, what we call the vessel to receive it. If we are not available, then, all the light, energy, positivity, blessings in the world are there, but we don't get it, Bright lights on right now as I'm filming. But if I close my eyes, it's not available for me. I'm not having the experience, but the lights are on. And that's how it works. The lights may be on, but if we're not available to receive it, then it doesn't impact our life. Be blessed, guys. Remember, April 7th, 90-minute workshop with me. Uproot any negative emotions that are blocking you in your life. Be blessed, and I'll see you very soon on the next video. All the best.